Hello and welcome. I'm Lorriiii, and this is Spirit Drumming. Today I'm reading a reflection called Sacred Winter, the Season That Keeps Its Shape. This piece came from a time when the world around me felt quiet and still, when warmth and effort dropped away, and what remained was simply form and presence. From my experience and guidance, winter teaches us something different than growth. It's not a season of becoming, it's a season of seeing, of noticing what is already here when nothing more can be added. If you're listening in a quiet moment, or if the world feels like it's asking you to slow down, simply allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Soften your shoulders and let this word space open softly around you. And if you'd like to sit with the written piece afterward, you'll find the full text linked below. Here is Sacred Winter, the season that keeps its shape. A shamanic reflection from the season of seeing. There comes a moment when nothing more can be added. Not warmth, not effort, not explanation. What remains is enough. Lorriiii. The season of seeing. Deep winter is not a season of becoming. It's a season of seeing. With the land stripped bare, there is nowhere for illusion to hide. What once felt blurred by warmth, movement, and hope begins to sharpen. Distances become unmistakable. Edges appear. What is present shows itself without explanation, and what is absent no longer pretends. This is the time of year when the world stops responding to effort, when reaching no longer changes what is true, when warmth draws closer to what can hold it, and the rest is left in honest space. Nothing is being withheld. Nothing is being offered. The land is simply keeping its shape. In this season, what we call belonging is revealed differently, not as welcome or rejection, not as closeness or exclusion, but as placement. The quiet intelligence of where each thing actually stands. What can endure remains. What cannot has already fallen away. Sacred winter does not ask us to let go. It asks us to stop adding, to stand still long enough for the truth to show itself, to feel the difference between what we long for and what is real, to recognize what remains when nothing more can be given. This is the season that remembers, not the story we told ourselves, but the ground beneath it. The Winter That Learned to See, an original story by Lorriiii. Before winter was understood, it was misunderstood. Before it was trusted, it was endured. And before it taught the people how to see, it taught the land how to stand. Long before the seasons agreed on their names, winter was already at work. They say it arrived without announcement, not as a storm, not as a warning, but as a stillness that outlasted argument, as a silence the land could not hurry past. It did not come to convince or persuade. It did not come with instruction. Winter simply arrived and stayed, holding its place until the world could no longer pretend it was something else. In the old stories, winter was not trusted. The other seasons believed it took too much. Leaves, warmth, movement, voice. They said it stripped the world bare and left nothing in return. They warned that nothing could grow where winter had passed. So they waited for it to leave. But winter did not leave. It moved slowly across the land, not to erase, but to remove what could not endure. What had been held together only by heat began to loosen its grip. Sap thickened in the trees. Breath shortened in animals. The land drew inward and listened. Winter quieted what relied on noise to be convincing. It stayed where others would have moved on. It stayed long enough for shapes to show themselves without disguise. And it became clear. Winter was never a taker. Winter was a revealer. What remained when nothing was added was not emptiness. It was structure. It was weight, the part of things that could not be persuaded to disappear. Winter taught the stones how to bear weight. It taught the trees where their roots truly reached. It taught the animals which shelters could carry them through the dark, and which were made only of fair weather and wish. Some did not last. Winter did not intervene. It did not soften what was revealed. And as winter learned to see, people felt the change. The world stopped responding to effort. Explanation lost its leverage. What could endure drew closer to itself, and what could not fell away without trauma. The people stood longer in one place. They felt the difference between what they had hoped was true and what remained when hope grew cold. Winter did not speak to them, it did not instruct, it did not explain. It held the world in such a way that nothing could pretend. And in that holding, the people learned what winter had learned, that seeing was not imagination, not belief, not hope. It was accuracy. Once the seasons had questioned winter. They had accused it of taking too much, of stripping the world bare and leaving nothing behind. But when the turning resumed, they saw what winter had revealed. Spring returned and did not rush it to begin. It opened only where the ground could stand as it was without collapsing under what was asked of it. Summer followed, offering its warmth only to what could receive it without breaking, growing within the limits winter had made visible. Autumn gathered without regret, knowing that what had fallen away had never been able to carry the future. And the seasons understood at last that winter had not taken from the world. It had shown the world where it was, that nothing can grow where it is not, that life can only rise from what is real. And so the turning continued, not driven by effort, not fueled by wish, but shaped by what could stand and therefore could grow. Standing without armor. There's a kind of clarity that comes in deep winter, not because life becomes smaller, but because what is true can no longer hold its warmth. Old stories that once held shape begin to cool. Assumptions loosen their grip. What once felt alive stiffens, loses pliability. And in that cooling, something more honest, more inhabitable comes into view. While sitting with the energy of this season, I came across an experiment that has lingered with me, not as research, but as recognition. People are led to believe that they carry a visible scar on their face. They are shown the mark in a mirror. Then, just before they return to the world, they are told it needs care, a final touch, to protect it. What they are not told is this: the scar is quietly removed. Nothing remains on their skin. They move through the world certain that they are visibly marked, and they return feeling judged, diminished, handled with care. Neutral interactions feel tense. Distance feels intentional. Ordinary moments feel weighted. No one else can see a scar, yet their experience unfolds as if everyone can. I too have moved through the world as if my wounds, my scars are visible, as if the tender places I carry are already known, already shaping how I am received, as if I am being read before I arrive. That belief quietly shapes my experience. It influences how I stand, how I harden, how I wait. It determines how much of myself I place into a room. It shapes what I think is happening around me. And I see how easily belief becomes posture. When I assume my tenderness is exposed, I brace without realizing it. I adjust before I'm asked. I prepare for impact that may never come. And the world responds, not to what I fear it sees, but to who I am being in the moment. The ache is real, but the meaning I attach to it is not always true. Deep winter slows everything until nothing can pretend. Truth does not narrow the field, it clears it. When false warmth fades, I am not left with less. I am left with ground, cold, honest ground, with something I can stand on. Winter does not ask me to let go. It asks me to stop reaching. The ground holds, the noise thins. What remains no longer needs defending. It carries its own weight. It stands, and from here, what grows will belong. Where imagination belongs. Belonging is not something we earn, explain, or are granted by others. It is revealed through truth. Imagination is not a flaw in our perception. It is one of the oldest tools. It's how spirit first reaches us, through image, story, symbol, felt sense. Imagination helps us listen beyond what can be proven. It opens doorways. It carries meaning where language cannot yet reach. But imagination requires grounding. Where imagination is unrooted from reality, it can quietly replace perception. We begin to move as if something is already wrong, already missing, already exposed. We brace, we soften, we adjust, and the world responds, not to what it sees, but to how we are standing within ourselves. Truth does not ask us to abandon imagination. It asks us to bring it home. In deep winter, when what is not true loses its warmth, imagination is clarified rather than silenced. It returns to its proper place, not as a shield, not as a substitute, but as a companion to what is real. This is the work of the season, to let illusion fall away so imagination can serve truth again. When imagination is grounded, it does not distort belonging, it reveals it. When truth is present, possibility does not narrow, it becomes inhabitable. And from there, belonging finds its proper shape. Sacred Winter Practice Guide. These are not practices to perfect. They are ways of standing. Sacred Winter does not ask for effort, resolution, or change. It asks for accuracy. Each practice below is an invitation to stop adding, to let the season show you what already holds. The practice of not adding. Once each day, notice where you are trying to improve, explain, soften, or justify something in your life. Then stop. Do not correct the feeling. Do not make meaning. Do not reach for assurance. Simply let the moment keep its shape and notice what remains when nothing is added. Standing where the ground holds. Place your feet on the floor or the earth and allow your weight to settle fully. Say quietly or aloud, I am here. Do not use the words as comfort. Let them be fact. Notice where your body is supported, where you're bracing, and what part of you is already held. Seeing without warming. Choose one situation you've been resisting. Look at it without warming it with hope, explanation, or future imagining. Ask what is actually present. What has already fallen away? And what remains without effort? Let clarity stand without softening it. Releasing the borrowed story. Notice one belief you carry about how others see you. Name it clearly. Then ask what is known and what is assumed. Do not replace the story with a better one. Simply loosen your grip and return to the sensations of your body. Quiet imagination. Sit in stillness without directing thought or image. When something arises, notice whether it reveals truth or protects you from it. Sacred Winter does not silence imagination. It returns imagination to its rightful place as companion to what is real, ending the day without resolution. Before sleep, name 3 things that did not resolve today. Do not problem solve them. Say quietly, this can remain unfinished. Notice what happens when truth is allowed to rest without demand. the daily question. Carry this question through the season. Where am I standing really? Not where you wish to stand, not where you fear you stand, but where your body, breath, and choices already place you. This question asks for accuracy, not action. Those who hold without fixing, allies of sacred winter. Sacred winter does not walk alone. It arrives with allies, quiet ones, steady ones, ones who do not rush to comfort, but know how to hold. The ground. The first ally, unmoving, unimpressed, always honest. The ground does not argue with where you stand. It simply meets you there. Cold. Not as punishment, but as clarifier. Cold removes what is held together only by heat. It reveals what has structure, what has substance, what can endure. Stillness. The ally that stops the reaching. Stillness makes it impossible to hide inside movement. It allows truth to surface without force. Silence. Not absence, but listening. Silence creates the space where imagination can settle and perception can return. Boundary. Often misunderstood, boundary is winter's kindness. It teaches where warmth belongs and where distance is necessary. It shows what can hold relationship and what cannot. These allies do not fix, they reveal. They do not explain, they place. Dragon eyes, a shamanic way of seeing. In the spiral way, we speak of dragon eyes as a way of seeing that holds two truths at once. Dragon eyes see the outer world clearly, what is present, what is absent, what is actually happening. And dragon eyes see the inner world honestly, the stories we tell, the beliefs we carry, the places where imagination fills the gaps. This is not vision as judgment, it's vision as discernment. Dragon eyes do not collapse imagination, they bring it into right relationship with reality. When dragon eyes are open, we can see where we are projecting, where we are protecting, where we are standing in truth, and where we are still reaching. This way of seeing is especially alive in deep winter, when the land itself is stripped to structure and nothing distracts us from what is real. Dragon eyes do not ask what we hope is happening. They ask what is actually here, and then they wait. Standing where the ground holds, a shamanic ceremony, I am here. This is a simple ceremony for seeing and being with the truth of what is here. It is supported by the qualities of sacred winter, clarity, stillness, honesty, but it can be done at any time, in any season, whenever you are ready to meet what is present. It can be done alone or with others. It requires no tools, no altar, no performance, only presence. Before we begin, let's pause. Take a moment to arrive into your body, into your breath, into this place. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be invited in. We simply allow this time to be held by the ground beneath us, by this moment, by our willingness to see what is true. For the next while, we agree to stay, to listen, to be with what is without fixing or forcing. Begin by standing or sitting with your feet on the ground. Let yourself settle in whatever way feels natural. If you need to shift or adjust your body to arrive more fully, do so now. Place one hand on your body. Whatever contact feels anchoring. Take one slow breath. Now, aloud or quietly to yourself, say, I am here. Pause and notice how it feels when you say, I am here. Say it again, not as reassurance, but as fact. I am here. Pause again and notice how it feels. Let the words land in your body. Now, with intention, activate your dragon eyes, a way of seeing that is clear, steady, and kind, not searching, not judging, simply seeing what is present. Look around you and silently name 3 things that are actually here. No interpretation, no meaning. Then aloud or quietly to yourself, say again, I am here. Pause and notice how it feels. Now turn your attention inward and name 3 things that are present inside you. Could be a sensation, a feeling, or a thought. Simply name what is there. Then again, aloud or quietly to yourself, say, I am here. Pause and notice how it feels to be here for what is true, for this moment as it is, for yourself as you are, for what is being offered right now, for your life, exactly as it stands. Notice how it feels to be here without adding to it and without turning away. Spend some time here. There is nothing to fix, nothing to solve, nothing to reach for, just being with what is true. When you feel complete, allow your dragon eyes to soften and release. Let the work of seeing ease. Let attention return to a natural resting state. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice the weight of your body. Take one breath that feels a little deeper or slower than the last. What you have met does not need to be carried forward all at once. What belongs to you may stay, and what does not may return to the ground. There is nothing else to do. In sacred winter and in every season, being here with what is true is the work. Journal prompts. You may write immediately, later, or not at all. What did I notice when I allowed myself to be here without adding anything? What felt steady? What felt tender? What surprised me? What truth became clear when I stopped reaching? What am I being asked to meet honestly in my life without embellishment or avoidance? Write in fragments if you wish, or sit quietly and let the words come later. Spiral way teaching, the gate of placement, where the spiral touches the ground. In the spiral way, not every turning is about movement. Some gates do not open forward, they open downward, into weight, truth, and contact. Deep winter marks one of these gates. This is the place in the spiral where effort no longer carries us further, where longing does not deepen belonging, where clarity does not come from insight, but from placement, from standing long enough for what is real to reveal itself. This gate teaches a simple, difficult truth. You do not find belonging by reaching for it. You discover belonging by standing where you already are. When illusion falls away, the spiral does not collapse. It tightens, bringing us closer to what can actually hold us. This is not a gate of loss. It's a gate of accuracy. Here, the spiral way teaches discernment between imagination that guides and imagination that protects, between stories that warm us and the truth that grounds us, between movement that comes from fear and stillness that comes from trust. Deep winter is not a pause in the spiral way. It's a place where the spiral touches ground, and from ground, something truer can grow. What stays? Sacred winter does not hurry us toward resolution. It does not promise comfort. It does not explain itself. It simply stays. It stays long enough for false warmth to fade, long enough for effort to lose its leverage, long enough for what is real to stand on its own. What remains is not smaller, it is truer. And what is truer can be trusted, not because it feels good, but because it holds. For those who stand, a winter blessing. May you be released from the work of proving yourself. May what cannot endure fall away without drama. May your seeing grow quieter and more exact. May you stand where the ground meets you, without apology, without rehearsal, without reaching. And may what grows from this season rise not from longing, but from placement, rooted, honest, and able to carry its own weight. In sacred winter, there is nothing more to add. What remains is enough. Thank you for listening. May what you heard continue to unfold in its own time.